Keep those cards and letters coming, mainstream media. We believe you. We believe everything you say. I promote the Patriot Power Bank because it flat out works. Charge your dead cell phone with the power of the sun and use my code in the description for your massive discount. Never mind the similarities between the alleged New Zealand incident and the alleged white settlement incident. Never mind the similarities between Brandon Tarrant and the fact that Tarrant County was the location of the supposed Texas shooting. And never mind that the name of the city in New Zealand was Christchurch, while the Texas shooting happened in a Church of Christ. Pay no attention to the fact that white supremacy was the supposed motivation in New Zealand, while the city in Texas was white settlement, or the fact that the places of the shootings were in a mosque in New Zealand and in a church in Texas. That the perpetrator live streamed in a New Zealand mosque while the Texas shooting was live streamed by the church. And it's probably completely coincidental that Grafton, Australia was the home of the New Zealand perpetrator, while Grafton Thomas was the perpetrator of the alleged synagogue stabbing in New York a day before the Texas shooting. Yeah, it's just all coincidence, I'm sure. Now, I gotta admit, it's good to see mainstream media was painted into a corner of having to widely admit that good guys with guns can stop bad guys with guns and that they didn't need any government intervention to take care of the situation.
And you're happy that a good guy with a gun stopped this.
Exactly. We have our service that, they're taking care, and they're wonderful.
Thank you so much, Mr.
My wife has a dramatic.
I know.
It was a sad thing that he had to come into that congregation and hurt people, and it's a sad thing that we had to hurt him.
In just seconds, several parishioners opened fire, hitting the gunman, who managed to fire one last shot before falling to the ground, dying at the scene. People rushing over and pointing their weapons at the suspect on the ground.
Today, evil walked boldly among us. But let me remind you, good people raised up and stopped it before it got worse.
All right, Marcus Moore joining us now. And Marcus, this shooting only lasted a few seconds before a security guard and several armed citizens quickly intervened.
Oh, that's right. In fact, one man who said he had a relative inside the church at the time, he said he is thankful for so many good guys with guns. He is thankful for so many good guys with guns.
Good guys with guns.
The suspect has been eliminated. At approximately 10:50 this morning, a gunman entered the West Freeway Church of Christ in White Settlement, Texas, during the church service. Preliminary reports said that he entered the church and sat down with parishioners.
What's he talking about preliminary reports for? Why even say that? You can see plain as day the movements of pretty much everybody in the sanctuary, including the gunman. There's no need for preliminary reports. Why didn't he just say the video reveals that he sat there with the parishioners?
He got up from that position, pulled out a shotgun, and fired it at a parishioner. That parishioner is deceased. There was a security team inside the church, and they eliminated the threat.
There was a security team inside the church, and they eliminated the threat.
And they didn't need law enforcement. They didn't need to call 911. They needed no government intervention whatsoever. They took down the threat in 6 seconds from the time the gunman brandished the firearm to the time when the body hit the floor. Come on, you know what I gotta edit in right here.
As we stated, the suspect is deceased. The threat was stopped thanks to the quick and heroic actions of those safety members inside the church.
Let this be a lesson to everybody out there. Empower yourself. If you don't have a gun, get one and learn how to use it. This could have been so much worse if there weren't good guys on the scene with those scary black semi-automatic guns. Now, let's listen to the insane, psychotic, anti-Second Amendment words of Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick.
We had a church shooting, as you know, a few years ago in Sutherland Springs. And out of that, we passed 2 laws this past 2 sessions. In December of 2017, I'd asked the Attorney General for an opinion of could you carry a weapon if you had a concealed permit in a church. We believed you could, but we wanted the Attorney General's opinion.
What the hell kind of Second Amendment trampling nonsense is that? We believed you could carry a gun in church, but we needed the opinion of some state-funded lying lawyer. See, these guys don't believe or hold fast to shall not be infringed. The Constitution they swore to uphold isn't burning in their hearts. It's not good enough. They need other opinions, and they need other laws, and they need lawyers to tell them what to do.
And we turned that into a law, Senate Bill 635, that was signed into law by Governor Abbott this past session. That made sure, unless a church posted a sign, that you could carry a concealed carry.
And that right there is a testimony to the ineffectiveness of the Second Amendment from people who just ignore it. It's just ridiculous.
Secondly, we passed a law in 2017. It was Senate Bill 2065, and that law removed all the fees that private institutions charge or are charged when they form their own security force. This church, and that passed into law, this church had its own security team. They were well-trained. The heroism today is unparalleled. This team responded quickly, and within 6 seconds, the shooting was over. 2 of the parishioners who are volunteers on the security force drew their weapons and took out the killer immediately, saving untold number of lives. Had the shooter been able to indiscriminately start firing into the parishioners sitting there in front of him, or at the pastor or whomever, we would have had many more lives lost today and many more serious injuries.
Yep, that's the bottom line. Good guys with guns can quickly usher a bad guy with a gun into the great unknown faster than you can say, dial 911. Now, let's listen to this clip of the senior pastor of that Church of Christ, Britt Farmer, as he thanks his political overlords for granting permission to do what everybody has the natural right to do anyway.
We lost 2 great men today, but it could have been a lot worse. And I'm thankful that our government has allowed us the opportunity to protect ourselves.
And I'm thankful that our government has allowed us the opportunity to protect ourselves.
Think of that, guys. Thankful that the government has allowed us the opportunity to protect ourselves. We are not children, and we don't need permission from anybody to protect ourselves. If this whole thing is anything, it's a more deceptive psychological operation to get people more dependent on government in the slickest of ways. Guys, if you enjoyed these videos, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give them a thumbs up, and share them with everybody you know. It's the only way I can combat YouTube's censorship and suppression algorithms. And while you're here, why not watch a couple more of my videos? I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video.